I wanted to just go over some mountain lion tracks and signs. Mountain lions, also called pumas, cougars, catamounts, show up all over North America, down into the jungle in South America. And a couple ways of telling cats apart from the dog family. These are probably two of the most difficult to distinguish tracks for beginning trackers, being the dog family and the cat family. The cat family, the principles to learn are that they got 4 toes in front, 4 in the rear, but their heel pad is key. So if you look at this plaster cast, this is of a 83 pound subadult male, and I know that because I know the tracker who made this particular mold. And this track right here, we got 3 lobes on the bottom. So we've got a tri-lobed posterior and a bilobed anterior. Now this bilobing on top rarely shows up. I've only seen that a few times under perfect conditions, like in really deep snow or mud and that kind of thing. But the tri-lobing is what you want to look at. So we've got 3 lobes, and you'll see these lobes showing up on members of the cat family from all over the world. So your cheetah is going to have this, your house cat is going to have that. Check out your house cat, or if somebody you know has a house cat, when they're laying down grooming themselves, they're going to have this tri-lobing as well. Your bobcats, your leopards, your tigers all have this. They also have an asymmetrical spread of toes. So we've got a pinky here and a middle finger like us. So they've got a little pinky and in that middle finger protruding. Notice that there are no claws showing here. A lot of trackers will say, well, you know, your cats, they don't have claws showing and your dog family does. Well, you know, here in northern Arizona, where the cats, or the dogs rather, the wild coyotes and foxes are running over slick rock all day long, their whole lives, a lot of times I don't even see their claws showing up. So I wouldn't use claws or no claws as the best indicator. Do what most cat trackers do, what most cougar biologists and cougar trackers do. Look at the heel pad. So it should have that nice tri-lobing on the bottom. You also have a nice wide hefty heel pad there. You're going to have an asymmetrical spread of toes, and chances are you're going to have claws that aren't showing unless the animal's sprinting or running uphill or in mud or something like that. Here's that same track in the snow. You can see the lobing. You can also see the pinky right there, the middle finger there sticking up. So I know I'm looking at a right front foot here. You can do this again with house cats when you see their tracks in the snow and the mud. Now compare that with some of my domestic dog tracks over here. Your classic dog. These are from my lab mix. She's about 70-80 pounds, so about the same size in body weight as that cougar. We've got a symmetrical spread of toes. These toes are pretty evenly spaced. They look about the same. Notice there's no pinky or middle finger here. We also have kind of a triangular shaped heel pad with not a lot of distinction in the lobing, and not nearly as big in size and width as the mountain lion track you just saw back there. And we've got some claws showing here. These are very blunt, hefty claws, pretty good size to them. You know, my dogs aren't running out all day long like the coyotes are here. But if these were cat tracks, it would be like putting the tip of my knife blade in here and making a narrow slit. Cat tracks, when they do have claws showing up, they're very narrow and slit-like. Now dogs have 4 toes in front and 4 in the rear, so your coyotes, your foxes, your wolves, your domestic dogs are all going to look like this. Going back here to the mountain lion tracks, and again, cougar, mountain lion, puma, we use these terms interchangeably. Some people in Florida say panther. That's just a subspecies of the western cougar. But we've got the tri-lobing, the bilobing on top right there that you can see, and then that asymmetrical spread of toes with the pinky and the middle finger there. One other sign I want to show you is over here, and this is the most common field sign you're probably going to come across short of tracks. This is just a scrape in the ground that I made, so this is not an authentic one, but it's as close as we're going to get around here. We do have cougars showing up in my backyard every now and then, as well as black bears and elk and all that kind of thing, because I live in the woods. But if you were out in the field and you were looking for signs that cougars are in your area, this is something you'd want to keep an eye out for. So I made this, and this is typical of what you'd find with a male cougar, although females can do it sometimes. They'll do it as well. But mostly your males will do this. They'll get here, they'll scrape with their hind feet, both hind feet, So they're facing this way, they're scraping this pile here, and then they'll spray that. And if you've ever had the luxury of cleaning a kitty litter box, you know that acrid, pungent smell you get. Well, that's what this is going to smell like, a very ammonia-like acrid smell if it's fresh. Now, if there are a lot of male cougars in one area fighting for turf, you're going to see a lot of these. Now, if I'm out hiking or walking in the area and I'm going to be coming back here the next day and I know that there's a fresh scrape, maybe just lay a twig across there. So when I come back in a few days or next week, if that's been moved, then I know there's been some recent activity. For comparison, here's a bobcat one right here, and I'm just going to throw a, let's see, I got a pen on me here somewhere. No, I guess now let's throw my knife down for comparison. So that's a 5-inch blade right there, give you some idea on scale here. And a bobcat scrape would be very similar. In fact, you could make a, we could go down the line from cougar over here to bobcat, and then making a house cat or tomcat scrape. It's all going to look very similar. They scrape with their hind feet like this, dig that little, make that little trough in between there, and then spray that. And if there are a lot of cougars and cats in one area, you're going to see a lot of these. If they're not too many, then maybe these will be pretty infrequent. You're not going to come across them. In areas where I go hiking, especially around the canyons here in northern Arizona, we come across a lot of these, and you know there's a lot of cougar activity, males competing with one another. Rather than getting in all-out brawls and scrapes and fights, they'll leave all these markers, olfactory markers, visual markers, scrapes and that kind of thing laying around. So back to your classic field sign. If you come across these nice tracks in the snow or the mud, get down, look at the heel pad. Don't just base it on claws, but look at the heel pad and determine whether you got some trilobing and bilobing on top, and look at the asymmetrical spread of the toes. If you find those types of principles, you're probably going to be looking at members of the cat family. Cougar, bobcat, leopard, jaguar, depending on where you're at in the world. All cats have that similar pattern.